time again for Talking Dogs with Ian Grant, owner of Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, VFW Drive Hyde Park. It's the show that delves into the training, socializing, behavior, nutrition, and wellness of your dog. And brought to you by Guy's Farm and Yard with locations in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. Of course, Guy's Farm and Yard has been our exclusive sponsor for Dogging Dogs for 7+ years.
Wow.
So thanks to the guys
Thank you.
gals of Guy's Farm and Yard for making this show possible. Well, we're here with the trainer, Ian Grant, and this week it's a countdown show. I always, of course, being in radio, I always like countdown shows. And today we're going to count down the top 5 dog training commands. So we gave you since last week to kind of conjure up what you think are the top 5, and we're going to reveal them right now in order, starting with number 5. We're going to make it dramatic here.
Yes, why not?
All right. So let's see. So where are we going to start at number 5?
We're going to start with the sit command.
Now, many people are going to say, sit is at number 5? I thought that should be number 1. So.
Well, here's the reason behind it is because everybody that comes to me already has this done with their dog.
Right.
No, I haven't ever had anybody come to me and say, Ian, I can't teach my dog to sit.
Yes,
It's true. I mean, nobody's paying me for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So to me, that's just kind of the easiest, and so that's why it's down on the list to me as far as the ease of being able to teach it and just kind of where it ranks in this spectrum of what we've got here for commands.
As far as how vital it is.
Yes.
So number 5 is sit. All right. Number 4.
This is where the heel command comes in. This is, or we can also say heel or whatever it is to get your dog to walk next to you on leash. This isn't like a competitive obedience heel type thing. This is just loose leash walking. So this is, to me, where this falls in the importance. It's a piece of the puzzle when it comes down to your overall dog's behavior, what they can do, what they can't do. But being able to have this skill is pretty vital here, and just knowing what it provides to your dog and your relationship is pretty important. So that's why we're moving that one up the list ahead of sit.
All right. And, of course, when you're walking, your dog becomes a part of your daily routine. So obviously it's important to have that command down pretty well.
Yes.
So. Okay, number 3.
Yeah, this is like the recall, the come here command. This is, I will tell you, just as like 99% of my clients already know how to teach their dogs to sit, 99% of them want the off-leash recall with their dog. For good reason. We want us to be able to see our dogs run through a field or run through the woods. For us to call them, they come to us off-leash. And, when it comes down to it, this is probably the longest to teach because this is the most freedom that we're giving our dog. A lot of these other behaviors, sit, heel is obviously on leash. Sit can be in the house or, outside. But having your dog be able to be outside, off leash, and have that reliable recall
that is a treat.
Yeah. So I always tell people, plan on this taking months to train. This isn't like an overnight or a week-long training session.
So when you mean come like this century, not when you feel like it.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
All right. Number 2 on the list.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this last week with our viewer question. Number 2 is going to be the leave it command, especially for the young dogs because we don't want them to pick up anything that can, be dangerous to them. But again, I also have a lot of clients that walk their dogs, they're hiking on hiking trails and rec trails, nature paths, that kind of thing, and who knows what they're going to come across out there. So having a leave it command in this context is quite vital. And this is why it's number 2, because it really comes down to a safety issue. Or if you have a dog that's just grabbing stuff around the house, it's always good to have this in place just for safety and structure reasons.
Of course, that should probably be part of your list when you first have the puppy, too. I mean, when you just have it for a few weeks, I mean, that's one of the ones that you want to get down pretty quick. And,
absolutely.
And you got to work at that one, too.
Yeah, and that's why that one sits so far ahead of sit. Sit isn't, too important for a puppy
sit
at that age.
Sit is so overrated.
Right?
All right, so I don't have a drum roll, so we can't do that. But the number 1 training command, according to Ian Grant of Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, is...
Drop it.
Drop it.
And let it go.
You let it go.
Out of your mouth, just in case they do grab something that they're not supposed to have. And again, this could be a household item, or it can be something out, on a trail. And a lot of times, one of the biggest complaints I get from clients is that their dog tends to pick up other animals' stuff that they leave behind, let's say.
Yes.
And that's that's a biggie. So that's where that leave it command comes into play, but also drop it to where if they do have it, it's got to come out of your mouth.
And you never know what they're going to come up with on the trails or on the road or wherever you do. I mean, you just can't predict it.
Yeah. And now I'm going to say this kind of as a bonus for all 5 of these. All 5 of these can be taught through play, meaning this is how I teach obedience to my clients, is that we can do this through games. We can do this from fun. We can do it from moving around with our dogs and having all sorts of enjoyment during training. So this doesn't have to be a boring time to teach each one of these to your dog.
It doesn't have to be a structured thing.
No, we can have fun. It's for us in the human world, it'd be like us learning things at recess.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's we want our dogs to enjoy it.
So there you are, the top 5 dog training commands. Write them down and make sure you follow them. Back with our question from the doggy bag in just a moment here on Talking Dogs. Back at Talking Dogs with Ian Grant from Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, VFW Drive Hyde Park. You can listen to our past Talking Dog show or other podcasts that Ian does throughout the course of his week. Just go to VermontDogBoardingAndBehavior.com and click on the podcasts, and away you go. Our question this morning, Ian, is when I take my dog for a walk, her nose is constantly on the ground, and when she sees another dog, she'll start yipping. What can I do? Okay.
Sounds like a beagle, kind of, right?
Well, of course, yeah, and I do have one. So,
yeah.
And she does get that nose planted on the ground for sure.
So first things first, we know that it's natural for dogs to sniff the ground as they walk because this is the kind of their way of exploring. For some dogs, it's kind of like a way of hunting. They're just trying to find and track a scent. I'm sure you've seen it in your time with Tika that if she smells something and then she really smells it, she might start to veer to the left or to the right.
Or just stop sometimes,
right,
too.
Or just stop, absolutely. So, their nose tends to work overdrive. In this situation, what I would do is I would structure it. So I would give the dog time to sniff for only a few minutes at a time, but the rest of the time, I need to keep her nose off the ground. So we're not saying you can't ever sniff the ground again. We're just saying this is when you can, this is where you can, and this is for how long you can. I just don't want to do this for an entire walk with a dog because that's just, in this situation, it's too much freedom. So making the dog or having the dog walk next to you, on a loose leash with their nose off of the ground will actually decrease the amount of reaction when they see another dog. Because it's just like...
all of a sudden they look up, oh, there's another dog.
Yeah, and they've been sniffing, and who knows, it might have been the dog that's been walking ahead of them, and then all of a sudden there it is. So it's like this explosion in their head goes off, and this is where the yipping or barking can...
Yeah, so you want them to be more aware of their surroundings and not doing sniffing all the time.
Yeah, so that's really the first step in the recovery to this. The second one is you just may need some more distance, and we've talked about this before, how distance can certainly help you out to kind of help recovery, and then slowly work your way back towards that stimulation. But there's really can be many different reasons for the yipping, but to me, the first thing we need to do is just kind of a little bit more structure to the walk.
And less sniffing.
Yes, absolutely.
But they have to have their sniffing time.
Yes.
So. If you have a question for Ian, you can email him directly to info@VermontDogBoardingAndBehavior.com. Well, next week, it's the world according to small dogs. What, did you interview a few of them or something?
I wish I could, right?
Yeah, that would be a whole new series.
It really would. It would. Yeah, it's interesting. I had a trainer friend put up a video, and he had the camera down at the dog's eye level, looking up at everything in a store. And it was like, wow, you never think about it from their point of view. So I thought we'd cover that. All
right. On Talking Dogs with Ian Grant, brought to you by Guy's Farm and Yard, with locations in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. And for the trainer Ian Grant, I'm Roland LaJoy, and we are Talking Dogs.